The Atlanta Braves take down the Washington Nationals 5-2 to finally get to 500. Let's talk about it.
This is the Braves Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Atlanta Braves. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into the Braves Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby, author of the Braves Today newsletter over at bravestoday.com. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. He's Jake Mastroianni. I always get that direction wrong. Host of Locked On Braves. Follow him on social media at shortstopball. And Jake, Atlanta beats Washington 5-2 to finally, on I think the fifth try, get to a 500 record. I want to talk about Spencer Schwellenbach. I want to talk about some different usage out of the bullpen today. But before we do that, is it fair to call this the Drake Baldwin game?
Well, I mean, you did in the thumbnail, so I certainly feel like it's justified. But yes, I mean, what a great game from him. I know we'll get more into it, but yeah, this definitely felt like the Drake Baldwin. I don't want to say coming out party either. I mean, he's been good, but certainly felt like it was his big game and his big moment in this one.
Yeah, this is his second start in 3 days. Drake Baldwin goes 3 for 4, scores 3 runs, has 2 RBI. He gets a home run. In the 4th inning, he has a double late. Picks up a single as well. Was a triple shy of the cycle. I'd be curious to know how many catchers in MLB history have hit for the cycle. I feel like that's probably the hardest position to get one, that and pitcher back in the day. But I think that we saw just the at-bats continue to be fantastic from Drake Baldwin. They have been hit the entire time he's been up just about. But this was the first time where Atlanta really kind of deviated from the plan of playing him every 3rd or 4th game by giving him another start tonight. And it absolutely worked out. Part of me thinks, you know what? Just throw him out in left field. Let's see how it goes. I don't necessarily know how viable that is from a defensive perspective, but it definitely feels like 2 of your best hitters are Drake Baldwin all the time and Sean Murphy when he's on. And I'm really curious to see how they balance his playing time over the next week or so.
And different hitters, obviously, and what they bring. Although Baldwin, can bring you both. He certainly has that power. But Sean Murphy, he'll give you a good at bat too. He'll take his walk and certainly has that power, but he'll strike out a little bit more. So Baldwin may be the better overall hitter, and I think it's just really the defense does it catch up to a level where Sean Murphy has been. But yeah, I mean, Drake Baldwin, and what I loved about this one is you hit him 5th. We've been asking, put somebody else behind Olsen and Ozuna, and you continue to put Albies and Harris, which they are still back-to-back in the order. I do not like having them back-to-back in the order, but hey, at least you got Baldwin up there in the 5th spot behind Ozuna and Olsen, and it paid off in this one with a 2-run home run. He got the home run with somebody on base. So I like the decision, obviously, there from Brian Snitker. And poor Sean Murphy, man, the guy just can't catch a break. He is not going to get a chance to be an everyday catcher for the Atlanta Braves. He comes over and Darno plays well, and you got to split time, and now you get a hot rookie and Drake Baldwin, and you're going to have to split time with him. But you got to find a way to get Drake Baldwin's bat in the lineup. It's just too good right now, and the Braves need all the offense they can get.
Yeah, and that's no slight against Sean Murphy. I mean, he's been good this year. His defense I still think he's one of the better defensive catchers in all of baseball. I was joking around on social media the other day about you could see 4 or 5 Gold Glovers from this team, and I had him in that group with Riley, with Allen, with Olsen, and with one of the pitchers, because I think Spencer Schwellenbach could do it. AJ Smith-Shawver shown flashes. We'll get to the pitching in a few minutes. I do want to say, batting Ozzie Albies behind Drake Baldwin, Ozzie went 2 for 4. He broke a giant slump in this one. I want to say he was it 0 for 28 entering the day. He had 2 hits, had an RBI. Austin Riley also had 2 hits and an RBI. So you saw some production from guys who I feel like have been cold recently. And for the most part, the at-bats tonight seem to be pretty good for most everybody. We did see 12 strikeouts, but you and I were talking before we hit live. A lot of that was Matt Olson, Nick Allen. They had significant issues with the home plate umpire. I have it here. Austin Jones, who I'm not familiar with until now. I hate that I know his name. But outside of them, it felt like the at-bats were really good tonight. Just Braves being aggressive when it was warranted, but not chasing too much.
Yeah, I thought it was another good performance. I still would take the one the night before over this one, even though you got more runs, but 12 strikeouts, that's just tough. And again, I know the strike zone got a bit wide. Even the strike three to end the game for the Atlanta Braves, that was nowhere near the strike zone, but it was strike three to end the game, so we'll take it. So again, tough night there. But those close pitches, you gotta try to find a way to foul them off, especially late in the game. The strike zone's kind of been wider. But overall, like you said, the at-bats, I thought they were good, kind of up and down. Like the first 3 innings and Soroka throwing the ball, pretty well. They were just okay. Then you had the 4th inning where the at-bats were just fantastic. I mean, they were taking a bunch of pitches. Matt Olson should have had a walk. It should have been a 3-run homer for Baldwin. So those were just some fantastic at-bats. And then you had a couple more just innings where the at-bats were okay. And then, you had some good at-bats in there too. So it's kind of a mixed bag. So that's why I say I'd probably take the performance on Monday. Yeah. But this one certainly wasn't a bad one. Ozzie in particular, what I love about this game, launch angle of 21 degrees, launch angle of 13, launch angle of 36, not great, launch angle of 9. I mean, the big problem for Ozzie has been the pop-ups and that he just hasn't been squaring up the baseball. None of these hit particularly hard, only hardest one at 94.2 miles per hour, but being able to get that launch angle back under control, to get those line drives, that's what we really need to see from Ozzie, because those pop-ups are really what have plagued him early in the season.
Yeah, and the Braves had 7 hard hit balls. Obviously, you'll take yesterday's performance with, 15 or whatever it was. But 5 of those came off of Michael Soroka. All right, in just a second, I want to talk about the pitching. I do want to talk about Soroka too, because he's a former Brave, but mostly Mr. Schwellenbach, some of what he did differently in this one, and then the 8th and 9th inning usage, if we think there's anything to that. We'll do that next, right here on the Braves Postcast. But first, today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Monarch Money. You ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, baseball tickets, it's easy to lose track, and that's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Because Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, your investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Today's episode is also brought to you by our friends at Game Time. There is nothing better than catching an MLB game live. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, and the smell of the ballpark food. And if you're looking to go last minute, Game Time makes getting tickets easier than ever. With last-minute deals, all-in pricing, and a lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the stress out of buying MLB tickets. Plus, ticket prices often drop as game time gets closer, meaning you can score an incredible deal. I recently grabbed last-minute tickets for a game one day. Game Time had unbeatable prices, which meant more money for food, for merch. Remember, every dollar you spend at Truist Park is another dollar they have to spend on players. So, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Now, terms do apply, but create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. I actually lied, Jake. I've got one more thing about the offense before we move on. Atlanta ended 2 different innings with a caught stealing. Michael Harris in the 4th, and Austin Riley in the 5th. Shout out to Aaron in the chat on YouTube for pointing that out and reminding us of that. I understand we've asked for the Braves to be more aggressive on the base pass, but especially the Riley one. It feels like Marcell Ozuna's due up next. Why go for the stolen base there when you run the risk of taking the bat out of Marcell Ozuna's hands, which they did?
Yeah, it's hard for me to complain because I've asked for them to be more aggressive on the base pass. It's just, you got to be good at it. I mean, you can't just do it for the sake of doing it. You have to be good at it. And I'm talking to Michael Harris and Nick Allen in particular. Those guys should be good at stealing bases, and they're not. Austin Riley does need to run more, and we've seen him do that over the last couple of weeks. He's faster than you might think. I don't know if I do it with Matt Olson at the plate. And, Matt Olson's somebody that's, give you a good at bat, but he does tend to strike out. And it was just a perfect pitch up and in, right in his weak spot. And it also helped the catcher because it was a good pitch to throw on. So again, I hate it. It didn't work in that situation, but I don't mind the aggressiveness. The one with Harris getting thrown out too, you had Michael Soroka on the ropes that inning, and you kind of let him off the hook by getting thrown out there to end that inning. He'll be, left after that inning anyway, but felt like maybe there was a chance for more. But I'm never really going to get on for them for being too aggressive because I think they need more of that.
Yeah. All right. So looking at the pitching here, Spencer Schwellenbach, 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs. 2 walks, only 3 strikeouts. But the big difference that I noticed here, and I'm going to part of the reason I called it the Drake Baldwin game, was because of this. It really felt like for the first time kind of all season, we saw Schwellenbach go to the slider against lefties. He's been under 10% usage of the slider to lefties until tonight. 31% usage. He throws 21 to lefties, another 16 to righties. And, he gets 6 whiffs, he gets 3 called strikes, but it just felt like that pitch has been one of his better pitches, and it's maybe been underused a little bit. I know you've talked before about one of the things Sean Murphy's great at is recognizing when a pitcher has a pitch working for him and just continue to use it again and again until they figure it out. Do you think this is something where Drake Baldwin wanted to go to the slider and just started calling it and it worked? Because it feels like he should throw that more than he does on the regular. Maybe this is just something Drake Baldwin wanted to do.
Yeah, I would assume it's something in game that they just saw and kept going with. You look at Spencer Schwellenbach's pitch usage after a game, and sometimes it can be all over the place. Sometimes he'll focus in on the splitter, or sometimes it's all even just across the board. But I've noticed, at least this year, looking at that, it seems like the better starts that he has, there is one pitch, and usually one of the breaking pitches that stands out, and when he's good, he just keeps going to it. And I think that's maybe the recipe for Spencer Schwellenbach is just you have so many pitches and hitters have to be aware of all of them, but you feel one is working better than the other because they're all good, but you feel like one is working well, just keep going to it. Make the other team adjust. So I think it was probably more of that just in game. They saw the Nationals were really struggling with that slider. So just keep throwing it and make them change to you.
It's like, dude, you have 6 pitches. One of them has to be there for you today.
Right.
You can't be struggling on everything. Yeah, it really felt like the strikeouts weren't there. Like he didn't have the usual strikeout totals that we've seen, but it felt like he was able to get a ground ball when he needed it. It felt like he just was in control of the game in a way that he really hasn't been in the last couple outings. So really good growth there. And then Dylan Lee for the 8th, Pierce Johnson for the 9th. I know that we've seen Raisel Iglesias pitch 2 straight days, so he was never going to be the guy for the 9th inning. Like we knew he was going to be down. They really don't want to use him 3 straight days. I remember pulling that up a long time ago and seeing how bad he is on a 3rd straight day. But were you surprised that Pierce Johnson was the guy to get the save opportunity? Or did you think like it'd be somebody else? Would they try to bring Daysabel back? Or kind of that was interesting to me.
Yeah, I think they probably just wanted to give Daysabel a day as well. Yeah. He had a couple of I don't think he gave up any runs, but just not some real clean outings his last couple of times out. So I think it was probably just an opportunity to get Daysabel off. I think he'd be the likely one when Iglesias is not available, but you really need to try to give him a day too. And with that 3-run lead, you get a little bit more comfortable to go to Johnson. But, those are your 4 guys. Dylan Lee, Pierce Johnson, Daysabel, and Raisel Iglesias hopefully becomes that one of those guys again, can get him on track. So I'm comfortable with any of those arms, especially with the 3-run lead there. Maybe I'd have been interested, if it did stay a 1 or a 2-run lead, do maybe you try to push Daysabel out there because I do think he's higher up in the pecking order.
Yeah. I can't get out of here without kind of acknowledging it was good to see Michael Soroka on the Truist Park mound again. I mean, he only goes 4 innings. It's one of his first starts back from the biceps injury, but it's a different Michael Soroka, right? He's not the sinker slider guy. It's 4-seam slider. I think he threw like 7 sinkers all night, but just good to see Michael Soroka back. And I'm glad that Atlanta was not like, we didn't have the revenge game that I made jokes about yesterday.
Yeah, it looked like it early on. Like I said, first 3 innings, he looked pretty good. And I'm curious how that's going to work for Soroka, being pretty much a 2-pitch pitcher now, fastball slider, if he's going to be able to continue to do that as a starter. I know he had a lot of success last year doing that out of the bullpen, and the Nationals are trying him back out as a starter. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him go back into some sort of bullpen role, but certainly wishing and hoping the best for him.
Yeah. All right. So Braves take down the Nationals 5-2. Atlanta is back to 500 finally after the 0-7 start. If I remember right, it's only a handful of teams have ever gotten back to 500 after an 0-7 start. Tomorrow, Mitchell Parker, the lefty, versus Bryce Elder. Really intrigued by this matchup. I feel kind of good about this. Atlanta hasn't faced a ton of lefty starters. I feel like they haven't done great against lefty starters. And a couple of guys, Verdugo, for instance, is one of those who has I think he has 1 hit all year against a lefty, but another great matchup. Does Atlanta win the series tomorrow? Or is this the Nationals take this and we have to try to win the series on Thursday in a day game?
Well, obviously would love for them to get it done. I think it's a pretty good matchup if Bryce Elder, is on and that sinker slider combination is working. Mitchell Parker, his last couple of starts have been horrendous after he got off to a really good start. So hopefully that's a trend that continues. But yeah, you might see Stuart Fairchild in the lineup. You're probably going to see Sean Murphy. It's probably another reason why Drake Baldwin started tonight is because you're going to get Sean Murphy in there against the lefty on Wednesday. But yeah, I would love to see the offense go out there, put up a big number, make it a stress-free win. This one was kind of a stress-free, but would love to see them, 6 runs or more, pretty easy win.
Yeah. Again, Braves take down the Nationals 5-2. Do us a favor. If you're listening on audio, leave a 5-star review for the show, Apple, Spotify, YouTube Music. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, both Locked On Braves and Locked On Sports Atlanta. Hit the notification bell so you know when we go live for the next episode, as well as when Jake goes live with the next episode of Locked On Braves. For Jake Mastroianni, I'm Lindsay Crosby. This has been the Braves Postcast.